Okay, Coach Edwards here. Got a great email, actually Facebook message from a parent, and I'm going to take the names out of it and the location, just to keep this parent's and this athlete's identity private. But I think it brings up a pretty interesting point. So it says, hey, Coach, I'm running as a frustrated parent. I'm looking to hear your opinion to see if I'm wrong in my feelings about playtime for varsity players. I'm messaging this to you privately, but feel free to comment on your Facebook page. Please just change the names to protect the innocent. My son is a goalie on the local Southeastern high school team. I'll let you know, this is a team out east. It's on the East Coast. He is a phenomenal goalie. In years past, we currently have 3 goalies. The starting goalie is a Division I recruit, and he's the varsity goalie. He is a phenomenal goalie. In years past, this goalie has kept us in games where we could not generate any offense and helped secure many wins. This goalie is a senior this season. My son is a junior and practiced with a varsity team, but he only gets varsity playtime if the starting goalie gets a penalty. This year, we are 10 games in, and the starting goalie has exactly 1 minute and 53 seconds of playtime. And his son has 1 minute and 53 seconds of playtime. As it was for the last 2 full seasons, my son splits most JV games with the sophomore goalie. The sophomore plays in every JV game. My son and the sophomore goalie have comparable skills to each other. Both of them are talented goalies with some rough edges. Now, I understand how varsity athletics works. Playtime is not guaranteed. However, this season, they've been playing some pretty good lacrosse, and they have a 7-3 record. My son has been getting very frustrated because in a few of the games, we've had some very sizable leads. Leads big enough that a lot of people, me included, are questioning why the coach wouldn't put Mike in to get a few minutes of the varsity playtime to get him ready for when the golden boy, the starting goalie, is gone. He's not looking for starts, not half of the game, just some playtime. When my son was frustrated and asked the coach about going into the game, he was sent down to JV practice for 2 weeks. Coach has made it very clear that parents are not allowed to discuss playtime issues with any of the coaches. Am I wrong for being frustrated for my son? I would love to hear your opinion. Thanks. So, this is a great question and one that I hear a couple times a year. And I'm going to start out with the tough answer, okay? I'll start out with the tough answer, which is there's something in your coach's head that thinks that your son is not good enough to go into the game. Now, that is just the filter that most coaches run with, right? The players on the field are either good enough or they're not good enough. And something in this coach's head makes him think that he'd rather leave the starting goalie in the game than to put your son in the game. So that's the tough answer. So I don't, not being there, not seeing, I don't know. As a coach, I am the type of coach where I like to put kids in as soon as I can put them in. But as soon as I feel that the game is completely in control and not out of hand. Now, some coaches lack that filter. They just put kids in and they leave them in and they're either winning, they're winning, and unless they're winning by like a dozen, they're not going to put the backups in. So I feel your frustration and I understand your frustration. Now, as a coach, it has gotten very, how should we put it, challenging talking to parents about playing time. I had a situation this last year where we were in a tournament in San Diego. We had 3 games that first day. We're trying to win them all to get to the better seeding for the next day. And we played a game where we were getting kind of blown out. And I had 3 kids that never saw the field. Now, granted, they weren't goalies, but I had 3 kids that didn't see the field. Now, one of the parents came up to me at the end of the game and said, why, my son's not learning being on the bench. And I go, yeah, that's true. However, I look at getting on the field as that field is hallowed ground, right? That field is a place where the best players get on the field. I don't believe that coaches will leave talented kids on the bench if they think that it's going to improve the game and give them a chance to win. I know that as a fact. I mean, I know as a coach, I've gone to tournaments and played with teams that weren't very good, and we've played better teams, but I never had kids on my bench or off the field that were better than the ones on the field. Okay, so now what you said here at the bottom kind of bugs me. That, one, he was sent down to JV practice for 2 weeks just for asking about it. One of the ways to do this, and I know we're coming to the end of the season now, and I apologize that this is late, but a better way to approach a coach is to say, Coach, listen, what do I need to work on to get on that field? Then the coach has to give you an answer. If the coach doesn't give you an answer, he's an ass, okay? So go to your coach and say, listen, what is it? What are the things that I need to improve on that are going to help me see the field when we're leading by a bunch? If the coach says to you, hey, you're never going to see the field, then you know it. But a good coach should say, okay, listen, I'm going to help you figure this out, and we're going to go through the things that you need to improve on, that I feel you need to improve on, and where you're weak. Now, the goalie's job is then go off and get extra work after practice, on the weekends, whatever, to improve on those things. Because if you're not improving those things that the coach has told you that you should improve on, well, then that's your fault, right? That's the goalie's fault, right? But a coach is there to coach, right? And even the most hard-ass coaches I know they still want to see their players improve. They may know through their experience, they may have a history of players that have been just like your son who haven't necessarily improved, and they might be lumping him into that pile, but it's up to your son to bust his butt and to improve and get, and do the things that the coach says you need to improve on. Now, if you do those things and then the coach doesn't follow through on his or her word, then that's another issue altogether, okay? But for the most part, if you come to the coach and say, hey, coach, why aren't I getting any playing time? That's a very confrontational way to look at it, right? It immediately puts the coach on the defensive. But if you go to the coach and say, okay, listen, coach, hey, listen, I know that I'm the backup, but what do I need to do to improve on to see the field? He's got to give you some inputs, okay? One thing here is I would rather a backup be playing than not playing. However, one of the logistics here is you got a senior graduating, your son's a junior, and you got a sophomore behind him. If your son, the junior, and the goalie, the sophomore, are of equal ability, your coach that high school coach may already be looking at that sophomore as the guy because he's going to get 2 years out of that guy instead of necessarily 1 year out of your son. That's just a reality, potentially, okay? It's funny how coaches' minds work, but that's one of the things that he might be considering, okay, is that next year he's going to have 2 goalies. Your son would remain the backup if they're equal, unless he's head and shoulders above that sophomore, just like this year where the senior was better than your son, the junior, okay? Your son should be frustrated. However, frustration is a very negative emotion. I would rather see a kid not be frustrated, but get some constructive criticism as to what to improve on, and then go out and improve on those things. However, in this case, you don't have those guidelines from your coach. Your coach hasn't told you, I need you to improve on your clearing. I need you to improve on your ball stopping from outside 15 yards. I need you to improve on whatever. He's got to lay it out for you. Then you go out and you work. So frustration is negative, but you can turn that into a positive real easy by focusing on what the coach tells you to improve and then moving forward, okay? So, yes, it's frustrating to sit on the bench. However, when you're not the coach, you don't make those decisions. And a lot of players get wrapped up in that. A lot of parents get wrapped up in that. Why is my son seeing the field? Well, something, like I started with, something right now is not working out that the coach feels comfortable with your son on the field. That's it. You got to look at it at the lowest of the low, most basic emotion, and just go, okay, what do we need to do to improve that? And then move forward, okay? So, I want to touch on this again. So now that the off season is coming, okay, it's time to go to your coach, for your son to go to your coach and say, listen, coach, okay, I sat on the sidelines a lot this year. I want to know what I need to improve, and so that I can come back in the fall or the spring or whatever and be your starter next year. And by coming to the coach and saying that you are not assuming that you're going to be the starter, it puts the coach in a position that, you know, you're coming to work. Okay. Well, I should say this. There's two ways to look at this, right? Coach may look at your son and go, "Hey, he doesn't think he's going to be the starter. You know, I may as well go with that other kid, the sophomore." But a lot of coaches, I think, would look at it and go, "Okay, listen, you're looking at your game critically. You want to know what you need to improve, and I'm going to tell you what I think you need to improve on." And now, if that athlete goes out and does that and shows up next season, having ticked off all those boxes and done those things, then I think you're going to be in a pretty good situation to have a great senior year and play, and own up to it, right? So keep I hope this helps. All right, and again, I'm sorry this is late. Totally lost track of it. It's hard this time of year for me to keep up with everything, but I hope this makes sense. And if you got any questions, you let me know. But again, take the frustration out of it, take the emotion out of it, and just go, okay, something's up. The coach doesn't feel comfortable. Let's find out what it is, and let's go out and just nail it. Right? Let's do what we need to do to get it done, and come back next season and just own it. And that is the stuff that's going to be a more positive experience. It's going to lead you forward. Okay, good luck. And thanks again.